But we begin tonight in Greenland, a country most of us don't often think about, especially in the dead of winter when we've got our own frigid snow to focus on. But Greenland has been a top-of-mind topic recently for the Trump family. Donald Trump, our soon-to-be co-president, has resurrected his first-term obsession with acquiring Greenland from its current colonial holder, Denmark. And he's broadened his expansionist vision to add a couple of other countries to the wish list. This morning, the supposed no more wars candidate suggested that he would not rule out using military force to gain control of not just Greenland, but also the Panama Canal, which belongs to Panama, and that he would use economic force to acquire Canada, too. Outgoing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, apparently tiring of his previous tack of visiting and appeasing Trump, responded, quote, "There isn't a snowball's chance in hell of that happening." Trump also introduced another superfluous idea no one asked for or voted for, renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And while he was wasting the world's time doing that, his eldest son, Don Jr., landed in Greenland with billionaire-funded right-wing troll Charlie Kirk to take in the sights, film some content for his podcast, and get the media to watch him meet with absolutely zero Greenland officials. So good news, bad news. None of these places are up for sale, and none of them are going to just roll over for Donald. But it does beg the question, why is he banging on about them? Let's start with Greenland. If you were to look at the Earth from the North Pole, you would spot Greenland right there on the map. It's an Arctic island neighboring Canada and Alaska to the west and Denmark and Russia to the east. Together, these are the countries in the Arctic Circle. Greenland is roughly 3 times the size of Texas and has a population of nearly 60,000 people, 88% of whom are indigenous Inuit people who have been there for thousands of years. It was first colonized by the United Kingdom of Denmark and Norway in the early 18th century, and it remains part of Europe as an autonomous territory of Denmark, currently an ally of ours. It's unclear why Greenland, which is self-ruled within the Kingdom of Denmark and has political representation, would just settle for colonial status in America with no full representation in Congress, like a frozen version of Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Washington, D.C. I mean, just the downgrade to their access to European healthcare alone seems prohibitive. Ditto Canada. So why does Trump care so much about taking Greenland? Well, it's sort of simple and very sad. Climate change is melting Arctic ice, exposing more of Greenland's vast wealth of rare minerals and energy resources, things we need to fuel the renewable energy market. Just think how much Trump could drill and mine if he turned Greenland and the Arctic part of Canada into American colonies. It just so happens that we also have a military base in Greenland, where we forcibly moved Inuit people to build it, which left many of them not too thrilled about Americans. So the people of Greenland don't want this, and neither does Denmark or Canada. But guess who would benefit from a potential war between NATO allies, Denmark and the United States? Yeah, Russia and their autocrat, Vladimir Putin. In fact, it's a point of Russian propagandists made on Russian state TV, telling viewers, quote, "This is especially interesting because it drives a wedge between him and Europe. It undermines the world architecture and opens up certain opportunities for our foreign policy." He added that if Trump really wants to stop the Third World War, the way out is simple: dividing up the world into spheres of influence. Chaos and a collapse of the NATO alliance at the hands of the United States has been Russia's long-sought goal, and with this Greenland gambit, Trump is playing right into their hands. Surprise, surprise. And Putin doesn't even have to rely on just Trump to make his NATO-hating dreams come true. He's also getting an assist from Elon Musk. Having purchased the next U.S. president for $200 million, the world's richest billionaire seems to want to control the whole entire world, openly tinkering with governments, trying to duplicate his success in the U.S. by making all of Europe right-wing. Musk is calling on King Charles to dissolve the UK's parliament and oust centre-left Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He's been amplifying right-wing claims Starmer failed to prosecute child rapists when he was his country's top prosecutor. It's giving QAnon. But he's also picking fights with the UK's far right, trashing Nigel Farage. You remember him, the leader of the anti-immigrant Reform Party, just weeks after reportedly considering funding the party. Their little fallout centers around Musk's recent support of Tommy Robinson, one of Britain's most infamous ultra-right-wing activists. Robinson co-founded the virulently Islamophobic English Defense League, claiming Muslims would outnumber Europeans within a few decades. Tommy Robinson isn't even his real name. It's a pseudonym he took from a soccer hooligan. He was banned from Twitter for breaking rules on hateful conduct back in 2018, but Elon Musk reinstated him after buying the company. And now Musk wants Robinson released from prison. And why is he in prison? For contempt of court related to a libel suit that he lost over false claims about a 15-year-old Syrian refugee who was assaulted at school in northern England. Robinson claimed the child was the instigator. He and his family received death threats as a result. It seems Elon's support of Tommy Robinson is a bridge too far, even for Farage, who says Robinson isn't right for his party. But Musk has since also extended his support to accused sex trafficker Andrew Tate, who says he plans to run for prime minister to, quote, save Britain, even though he couldn't actually spell the word Britain properly. Elon is also spreading his tentacles to Germany, tripling down on his support for the far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD party, the party that Germany's intelligence has classified as a suspected extremist organization. He's hosting a live chat with the AfD party leader on X Twitter later this week. But some of Europe's leaders are standing up to Musk's meddling. The UK's Keir Starmer, the aforementioned Mr. Starmer, slammed him for spreading lies and misinformation. French President Emmanuel Macron said, quote, 10 years ago, who could have imagined if we had been told that the owner of one of the largest social media networks in the world would support a new international reactionary movement and intervene directly in elections, including in Germany? Well, the government of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz criticized Elon by name. The normal people, the sensible people, the decent people are far in the majority in this country, he said, adding, we act as if Mr. Musk's statements could influence a country of 84 million people with untruths or half-truths or expressions of opinion. This simply is not the case. I'm joined now by Mehdi Hasan, editor-in-chief and CEO of Zeteo. The sad fact is, Mehdi, this country, our country, was influenced by exactly that. And so how right is Europe to worry that maybe their populations are not as safe as they might think?
But first of all, Joy, Happy New Year, although there's not that much happy about
Thank
it
you.
so far. 2025 is really, I think your intro was spot on. I think you ended it in exactly the right place. The German Chancellor saying, it's great, rousing words, but sadly, they're not true. I wish they were true. But Musk has proved in this country that he can affect politics. He did spend more than $200 million of his own money propping up Trump and the Republican Party. He did go and live in Pennsylvania doing lotteries for swing voters. And he did devote his website, his social media platform, one of the most influential messaging platforms on the planet, to getting Trump elected. Ironically, all the things that conservatives accuse liberals of doing, he is now doing. Everything they accused George Soros of being, Musk is times 10. Everything they thought Jack Dorsey was doing with Twitter, he's doing with X. And he's dangerous. As you say, Germany, the UK, Canada, he is pushing the far right in each of those countries. In the US, he's already done it. Every day he seems to become more and more extreme. Just today, he was questioning whether Islamophobia even exists. He's ticking every far right red-pilled box. And he's not just some random troll. He's not Tommy Robinson. He is actually a billionaire who can sway elections and has the ear of the President of the United States from January the 20th, 2025.
Right, and one might say he's his boss, right? That he's Donald Trump's boss, and that Trump's other boss, Vladimir Putin, these two, they do have global designs, right? This is Ed Luce had a great quote in the Financial Times that is Musk speaking for Trump, in which case the West is as good as dead, or is he testing the waters? That would give Western capital scope to exploit differences between Trump and Musk. The answer is probably a mix of the two. But at the moment, Trump is either talking tough to make it look like he's the real boss by saying he's going to invade Panama and Greenland and Canada and be an expansionist like Putin, or he's just speaking Putin and Elon's desires. I can never tell which. I just know that Trump is not in charge.
So before we go any further, Joy, let's just take a step back for your viewers and just remind ourselves to keep ourselves sane. None of this is normal. Right? At the beginning of 2025, we should not be on live American television discussing a president-elect's press conference where he said he may invade two of our allies. Right? I'm the guy who was worried about Trump attacking Iran, Trump starting a war with China. I did not have it on my bingo card for war with Denmark and Panama in 2025 from the guy, as you said, who was supposed to be the No More Wars president. I had leftist friends of mine, Muslim friends of mine saying, well, you know, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris have been so hawkish. At least Donald Trump, he'll be anti-war. He's not even president yet. Yeah. And he's saying, I can't rule out military action against a fellow NATO member, Denmark. By the way, the national security argument is so absurd to take in Greenland because it's like, oh, well, Russia and the Arctic. I thought Russia's Trump's pal. I thought Putin's not aggressive. And here's an interesting point. What do Musk, Putin, Trump all agree on? Don't defend Ukraine. Just roll over for Russia. And they argue it on the grounds that we shouldn't be involved in foreign wars. We shouldn't be sending our money to Ukraine. How much do you think it costs to buy Greenland? Like $1 trillion, according to the Financial Times. Who's paying for that? The whole thing is so absurd that we have to keep reminding ourselves, pinching ourselves, that this is not normal. No other president-elect, including George W. Bush, who basically stole an election and was thicker than any president who came before him. Even he didn't have a transition like this, right? So we just have to keep reminding ourselves that even as we talk about this stuff, Greenland, Panama, war with Allah, we are in upside down world.